On tonight's show, we have author and former member of the Grammy Nominated group Nappy Roots, Ryan Prophet.
And now for your host,
KoolKard. Welcome back to the show, everybody. Episode 49, Kickin It with KoolKard. I am your host, KoolKard. Yes. If you're coming back, thank you. I appreciate the support. If you're brand new to the show, I invite you to subscribe so I can continue bringing you this value from all these great guests that I bring on here. I'm telling you, 49 people, man. I got more episodes than we got presidents in the United States. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to keep it going. We it's a good thing, man. It's election year. Turned out great for me. I'll just let you know who I voted for. I don't care. Whatever. Turned out great for me. If it didn't for you, I hope it still works out. You know what I mean? It's all one, man. All one country. We got to get this thing back together. It's crazy out here. We got cops killing us, man, and doing all types of craziness. People acting crazy. So tonight, our show is fitting. Got a gentleman on here by the name of Ryan Prophet, former member of the Nappy Roots hip hop group. Pretty sure you heard of him. We'll talk about that. But he's also a victim of police brutality, and he has a book out, Grams to Grammys. So we're gonna get into all that. Talk about his journey. Talk about how he's being motivated now. He's a motivator. He's an activist, doing a lot of good things. So there is life after music, but I ain't gonna say after because he got new music too. But coming from where he came from, just to show you that you can continue to succeed and excel and motivate and inspire people. All right. And that's what this show is all about. Bringing value to the end user, which is you. I need you. Can't do it without you, but I do it for you. All right. So I'm going to shut up, stop talking. We're going to bring him on in with a nice little cool intro like I like to do and get this show going. Yes, sir. Thank y'all for coming back. Thank you for joining me. Mr. Ryan Prophet.
All right. What's going on, brother?
Man, ain't nothing. Chilling, kicking it with you.
All right.
Yes, sir. Hey, man, just want to thank you first and foremost for coming on the show. I really appreciate you giving me your time. So we coming on here to talk about you, man. You got a lot going on.
Yeah. And thank you as well, man, for putting me on your platform, man. I see you doing well and growing. So, it's a pleasure to be on here as well.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I really appreciate you doing this. And had to have you on, saw your story. Wanted to come on and have you share it, and just kind of inspire and be transparent. I'm not going to ask you anything personal. You know what I mean? I don't do it like that. We ain't no gossip here, nothing like that. Just want to inspire, just want to bring value to whoever's watching. Maybe some people out there inspiring to do some music or inspiring to be a speaker or whatever, and you can shed some light on them and kind of guide them on their way, because a lot of people out here don't know what they need to know. And as crazy as it may sound, Google can be your best friend, but a lot of people just aren't resourceful. So, or they ask questions and people don't want to give them the answer. You know what I mean? Or they want to.
That's why we have shows like yours here for. Right?
Exactly. I don't want to have someone come on here and have to pay $1,000 to get a little information that should be free to them. You know what I'm saying? So I just try to do my part for the ecosystem, brother.
No doubt. We all got to do our own part. It just feels, everybody, got different commitments and things that they feel passionate about.
Yeah.
Such as yourself, I feel passionate about, kind of sharing some things as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, everybody knows where you came from, so we're not going to talk about the obvious from jump. Let's talk about Grams to Grammys, your book that you got out. You released this back in, March, right?
Actually, April, I believe.
April?
April. Yeah. Sometime, when Corona hit, right?
Okay. Yeah. So let's talk about that. Like, what led up to you being inspired to write a book, tell your story, and inspire people?
I'd say the trigger, the first thought would probably be when me and my brother, we started a reading program in the early 2000s.
Okay.
It was called the Failure Free Reading Program Prophet Society. And in that, this was a time, we're doing, incredibly well musically. We as the Nappy Roots, whatnot, #1 selling group in the whole world.
Right.
out of state in Kentucky. And, you know, me and my brother, we always had a vision of starting a school, kind of like, I think, you know, like LeBron has and Jalen Rose and all these people. So
Right.
we started out with this reading program, and it was partially funded, you know, not just from me, but like No Child Left Behind, Bush, and, you know, so, you know, they actually got some funding from that guy. But in that, you know, teaching kids to read, everybody wanted to rap. And I was just like, well, you know, I wish I could kind of steer more of these kids to actually writing and becoming authors. You know, everybody want to write 16 bars and write songs. I'm like, man, I wish these kids would be more about writing their stories, you know, because there's some really intriguing stories. And it would get them, you know, more knowledgeable just to reading as well, full circle.
Right.
So I knew they look at me as a rapper. You want to be a rapper? Well, how can you say, man, I like to birth some authors as our prophet, and you haven't wrote a book yourself?
Right.
So that was the first thing, like, dang, you know, at some point I got to write a book. During this period of time, you know, I've always had a couple of people, particularly, you know, people I would come in passing with, and they said, man, you got a really interesting, you've overcome a lot of things. You should write a book. End up hooking with the S firm, and they told me, you know, I know you want to do your music right now, but you've had so much success musically, but people, because you were in a 6-man group, you know, people really never knew that you were from Oakland, that you came from the streets of Oakland.
Right.
That, you know, you came from a place that many people don't make it out of. You were blessed to make it to college, and things of this nature. So it's all culminated me into, you know, sitting down, taking 6 months out of my life, really writing this book, you know, from Grams to Grammys. Starts as a, you know, me as a child in Oakland, substance use in the house,
right.
A lot of drugs in the community in Oakland, all the way up until me, and further a little bit, give you a glimpse into what's next to be, but making it to the Grammys. So just a kid from Oakland, from Kentucky, you know, raised in Kentucky, and make it to the Grammys. So that's kind of how it all came about.
So I like to ask people who write books during that process. You know, the biggest thing is people say if you want to manifest something or discover something, you know, write it down. You know, write your goals down, write out your dreams, whatever, right? So when you're writing these books, I'm sure you make discoveries. What's like the biggest discovery that you made about yourself when you were writing about yourself? Because sometimes we move through life and we know our experiences and their memories, and, you know, memories can fade sometimes or whatever, and you don't really relive those experiences or let them affect you in your life anymore. But now you're sitting here and you're writing it down and you're reliving this and you're telling your story. Like, what is the biggest discovery that you made and that changed you?
Well, in writing this book, I'll go about answering that question in this. I found myself laughing. And then I found myself going through different phases of my life, remembering, writing down lines, and actually crying.
Wow.
Then I found myself just thinking about how things were affecting me at the time that this was going on.
Right.
How things were affecting others. And so it began to be a journey in a sense to where the book is about me, but I was actually thinking about how others were affected with me being a part of the thing that we were going through. Family members.
Yeah.
You know, in a lot of ways, you know, it's, you know, you have a mother, you have a father. I was blessed. My parents married over 40 years. I have a brother, older brother. He's a counselor. I have a younger sister, beautiful sister. And, you know, for us to come up the way that we come, for me to make it to the heights that I've so-called made it, you have different roles. I have a big brother that's, pretty much just like, he's a counselor. He's somebody I go and talk to, like, hey man, how do I handle this? I remember going through, when all this, whatever this fame stuff is, walking through the mall, and because I ended up hitting the streets and selling drugs myself and things of that nature, I wasn't used to people just staring at me for too long. I'm like, hold on, man, something going on. I think, it might be a problem. Look, they just staring like too long. And my brother, we was in Jefferson Mall in Louisville, Kentucky. He said, Ryan, you famous now. And it was like a shock, because it was like I am totally removing out of the life that I knew.
Yeah.
And I had to adjust. But as far as writing this book, something that changed me, I think I started recognizing how much things that occurred in my life experiences really affected me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I would say I was able to really confront some of the things that I like, and probably more things that I don't like. But I've came to enjoy and understand who I've came to be. Yeah. That, but damn, I'm a pretty bad brother. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the things that I've done against the odds.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I think what that does when you write a book is you come to an understanding of who you are. You kind of act as your own shrink or your own therapist almost, because now you're really sitting down and you're remembering and you're telling your story, and it's like, man, I didn't realize I'm this way because of that. You can make these discoveries on your own, sitting down, writing about yourself. You know what I mean? So that's why I asked you that.
That's really a great question. Like, that's a great question. I think, if people were to pursue, I get people all the time because they like, oh, they know me, as a rapper or whatnot, or from other things. But now people are inspired because I wrote a book. Yeah. So they like, man, I got a hell of a story, And so I'm like, if we can get more people to actually look into themselves, because we know we as Black people, we don't really go and get counselors. Mm-hmm. We look to our mothers, fathers, our family, our cousins, right. And that's good in its own right, because there's somebody we feel like we can understand. But you got to understand who you're being counseled by. You're being counseled by somebody that might have been a drug dealer all his life. So if I'm an artist and I'm not doing well, shit, I ain't made no money in 2 years off I don't know if I'm gonna make it. Oh, well, you don't need no job, because I ain't never getting no job. And yep. All right, you got to understand, if you're talking about love to a person who's been heartbroken, you got to understand where they're coming from. So you still have to gauge all these things for yourself as to who am I talking about? Who am I talking to?
Yeah, who am I talking to and what information I'm getting?
Because what you're receiving, much of it may be good, but some of it may be broken. And if you don't understand and identify these particular people that's around you, and you're not really sure of yourself, you can fall. You can fall like very easy.
Yeah, fall back into the life.
Yeah, writing a book is very much a good self-discovery type of thing, particularly autobiography.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I asked that. I always like to ask that question when I talk to people who write books, because I know you make self-discoveries, and it's just amazing the stories that you hear. Like you're saying, one line that you wrote made you cry, one line made you laugh. It's like you're going down memory lane and that you're making these discoveries. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And I think, and I've never kept a journal, and I'm assuming that's why people keep journals, just kind of, commemorate everything. And yeah, that's cool. So let's go back to, you becoming a part of Nappy Roots. Like, how did that happen? And I guess you said, like, going through the mall with your brother, didn't really realize what you had become in that sense. Like, did you know, or what did it feel like when you first became a part of that? Did it feel like you guys were just, I'm with my boys, we're making music, somebody's about to pay us for it. Like, how did that feel for you?
Well, initially, how we met, it was a blessing. You know, my parents, they always, it was one little thing, and I talk about it in my book. Of course, it's on Amazon, From Grams to Grammys. #1 new bestseller, by the way.
I'm gonna have the link down in the description. Y'all go check it out.
Yeah. You know, as a kid, even starting in Oakland, our parents used to ask, what are you going to do after college? Mm-hmm. And we used to talk about this and that. And this was a constant. Elementary, what are you going to do after college? Middle school, junior high, what are you going to do after college? High school, what are you going to do after college? In that they were sinking in our head. Society will tell you, what are you going to do after high school? Mm-hmm. But my parents were teaching us, what are you going to do after college?
Right.
They were teaching and instilling in us that education didn't end after high school. Right. Education ended after college. So we always sought that. Now we have, you know, everybody went to college, and other brother and sister, they got masters, everything, right? So I'll tell you how key language was to us. So, you know, again, I started, you know, again, the book is Grams to Grammys. As a kid, I was amongst a lot of drugs. You know, you read the book, you find out it was, you know, my cousin was a very big dude, if not that big dude, in the city, you know, city of Oakland. And then I began to hit the streets in Kentucky. So all the way up until, you know, the last day, fortunately, I had already applied to college. You know, some things went down in the streets, and, you know, because I had my parents, mother and father, they, you know, something really big went down to where I had all my money, all my dope in the house, along with my best friend. It was his baby mama and all that other stuff. And she ended up calling them saying, oh, you can come get all his stuff right now. She wouldn't give it back because we caught in the mix with some other females. But what was good that I had already applied, and next thing I know, you know, my parents, they woke me up the next morning and you telling me everything that's going down and whatnot. And they saying, you got to go. They took me down to Bowling Green, Kentucky, West Kentucky. And that's when, you know, I was pretty much set there with a suitcase and still some trappings of my trapping. I had a lot of money out on the street, and, you know, there I was there at college.
Would you say that was the best thing that ever happened to you at that time? Seeing that how it
but I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know. So I spent a good deal of time, you know, the first semester, maybe half the first semester, until I talked to one of my boys, because pretty much our whole clique was depleted on murder charges, drugs, and guns.
Yeah.
And I was the only one that was in the business that made it out.
Right.
So I felt like I was leaving my best friend. A few weeks later, after my parents dropped me in college and whatnot, actually a week later, he got caught up. So pretty much our whole team was depleted. But after talking to, you know, one of my friends, he was like, man, Ryan, you don't understand. I would, maybe it's not the perfect word, but I would kill to be where you are right now, man.
Right.
Your parents did the right thing. You got some great parents. I wish our parents would have held up, you know, like you. So, man, you are exactly where you need to be, man. Enjoy it. And, you know, take advantage. And after I took that call, it was like, damn, okay. I was still thinking street. It was like something changed in me. I recognized, wow, I'm not supposed to be thinking this. This is a blessing.
Yeah.
And then I recognized, yeah, that was the biggest turning point in my life, where I completely changed and engaged with what I was doing. You know what I'm saying?
So did you start looking for new possibilities after that? Is that when you were like...
Yeah, very much so. You know, I had always, you know, wanted to, you know, I didn't know how I was really going to get on camera or whatnot. And and be known to the world, but I always felt like people would know my name.
Yeah.
And, looking at LL Cool J when I was just age of 8, I said, I want to be like him. But then, in Kentucky, nobody had ever became a rapper in Kentucky. So my friends, my best friends, the very friends that I'm talking about, say, you can't be a rapper coming from Kentucky. You got to be from California or New York. So I gave that up for a while. So there was just there was a lot of different things, but somehow rung in my mind and always stays today. That's why I speak in the book. It's like I had a hell of an intuition or a hell of a voice that's always stayed with me and kept me on the right track, kept me from, being caught up in the streets. All my boys got crazy charges. I never got caught up for anything, for the things that we really was doing.
Yeah.
I made it. And it's incredible. Really, it's just all a blessing.
So for kids out there, I don't know if any kids are going to see this. They may, but anyway. For kids out there who come from a good background, 2-parent home, good upbringing, where does your mind go to want to get wrapped up in the streets, want to get wrapped up in the drug game?
Well, again, I was blessed with 2 parents who were actually involved with substance use as a recreation.
Oh,
so
okay.
my parents were very, had a lot of pride. They were intellectuals to a certain degree, common sense, and they respected themselves. Again, I've probably seen more I've been around drugs ever since my birth. I'm talking about literally having drugs in my stroller.
Wow.
So this is not that type of thing.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Yeah. Okay.
So with that, these are things that I couldn't express being in Nappy Roots, because Nappy Roots and the 5 other guys, the brand is a country brand and things of that nature with the whoop. But if you look back, I'm always the guy. I'm wearing Adidas suits, diamonds, still like today. I come from Oakland, California.
Yeah.
I've been around the lifestyle of a rapper, which was my cousin, because he was the biggest drug dealer in Oakland in '85. So this is my life.
Right.
I would say for anybody that's had, that are fortunate to have 2 parents, I would say, just because you have 2 parents, it doesn't mean things are going to be easy.
Yeah.
I was just fortunate to have 2 parents that had their heads on their head, on their shoulders, right? But it definitely can be a blessing, but it can be 1 or it can be 2. What's most important is that you try to seek to better yourself and understand as soon as you can the type of situation that you're in, because sometimes your parents can need help.
Yeah.
I was actually in a situation, once we moved to Kentucky, again, with my parents being a part of that stage of life when, things hit us blacks. We was fortunate that my father had a father in Kentucky and moved us back there, and we was able to kind of restart.
Okay.
Still, they had some bad habits per se, but they were in control. But, I was one of those kids, when they would indulge with their recreational use, I was the kid, I would go and cry in the bathroom on the toilet. With the toilet, the seat down, whatnot. Yeah. But I just cry because I think, the things that I see on the news, we're going to end up homeless, or we're going to end up in the projects like everybody else, all the other black people that I see that's on these drugs.
Right.
So it still hurts me, right? But what I did do is I made a call back to California, and I called, an uncle, whatnot. It's like, hey, what's going on? I told my brother, hey, look, whatnot. So me and my brother got together, called an uncle, he flew out. And I think he did some well, because not too long after, it took a little while, man, they changed their whole operation, man.
Wow.
And they got off drugs. Yeah. And, you know.
God right there.
Come on, man.
That's God right there.
You know what I'm saying? So I called my brother. My brother, man, this is killing me because I'm seeing, guys I know he got to go to school with, right?
Yeah.
In high school. And they're on the porch now. It's like, no, I seen this in Oakland. So it's a lot, that you got to deal with. So it's all in the book, man. It's pretty good, man. And hopefully we can make it a feature film, which we are talking about.
Yeah, that'll be dope. So how does a kid running the streets from Oakland, whole different vibe, whole different background, gel with some country boys in Kentucky and make it big?
Well, I was fortunate because we kind of transformed, the first few friends that we met, me and my brother, were some of the roughest, toughest guys that you can ever meet.
Okay.
As kids, we're talking about, right? And so, we combined our powers. So we already had a name. We was blessed, we got in the streets. We all pretty much survived for the most part. And then, the rapping happened. I made it to college and hooked up with the Nappy Roots. Okay. So I've had a lot of different experiences. So I was already who I was coming from the city of Louisville. And hooking up with, the other 5 brothers as well as a couple other brothers. There's some other brothers, man, that actually, for lack of better words, fell by the wayside. That was a part of Nappy Roots. I'm talking about got tattoos, everything. But when the label came in, it was like 8, 9, 10 of us. And they was like, no, we only want the guys that spit the raps, the real raps, not the guys who make the beats that's affiliated. So they came in and chopped up a whole bunch of stuff, right?
Oh, damn.
So we was really a heavy army, man. It was a lot of us. So that's unfortunate what that happened. But
did that cause a divide? Did that cause a divide?
Hell yeah, man. It was crazy.
Felt some type of way.
Yeah, I wouldn't be here today if I didn't figure out what was going on, because some people who was on the better half was riding. They would keep secrets because the label was saying, oh, well, they only want this many people. Then the label would say, oh, they don't want this many people. So,
wow.
I mean, it was only God that I was able to kind of peep, okay, what's lying, who's lying, who's got the most to gain, you know what I'm saying? So in this book, you'll see me, I find out that, okay, with these couple people's trying to actually get the 4 or 5 of us to work for them. So we end up signing a production deal to one of the members that was just in the group, but he was a businessman, very, very smarter, well versed. He reading all the books.
I've heard that story before.
Man, we done signed over all the publishing and everything. He get one of his buddies that's just cool and tell him he's gonna be the publishing guy. We done signed over the publishing, But it took me, myself, to find out, and then I had to get one of the other brothers, and then me and him, it made me stronger, because they was talking about, oh, well, shit, they don't want you either, Prophet. Like, I'm like, what? So, man, we went through a lot of bullshit. I'm telling you, and these guys still today, none of them have thanked me, man. None of these guys would have ever made $1 had I not figured out what was going on with Nappy Roots. Wow. Not $1. We be signed to 2 guys, one that's in the group and another guy who ended up, the label paid him $100,000 to go on and forget about all that. And nobody still today said, hey man, Prophet, you saved our fucking life. Wow. So it's some shit, man. I done lived a hell of a life, man.
That's crazy. So can I ask you this? Can I ask you this? And you don't have to say names or nothing like that, but is the person that you guys were signed to that's in the group still in the group?
Yeah, he actually runs around, man. I don't know what it is, man. He had some type of control over guys, but when you're not really secure about yourself and your position, you kind of find comfort in other guys who seem to know what they're doing. Yeah. And, in their mind, they might have, well, I'm sure maybe 1 or 2 got a conscience or You know, something where it's like, damn, we fucked over a lot of shit, you know, just for some money.
Right.
Just for a woo, all because they wasn't really strong in themselves.
Yeah.
And so they went with the things that were just highly just wrong.
Yeah.
And, you know, I talk about these things in the book. You know, as I was going through my, you know, process, I knew a lot of things because one of the group members were telling me what was going on. And I would still get shown love, but they didn't know the whole time, man. I knew that they were pretty much backstabbing me. I knew the whole time.
Wow.
And, you know, matter of fact, this guy, his name is Clutch. Clutch used to tell me everything. Clutch used to tell me everything. They said in the book, he told me, he was like, yeah, Prophet, man, they said we can't support your solo stuff because if we support you, what you think the label's gonna do with us? They gonna drop us. I was like,
That's
what?
crazy.
Like, yeah, man. So
that's crazy.
And again, I'm Prophet, so I take pride in, you know, the things that I stand for and I say, you know.
Yeah.
So
why couldn't you take your solo project to another label though?
Well, it's a lot of things. Nothing's ever based on one thing. You have a lot.
Well, I'll say this: I do know enough about the business that because you were signed to that production deal, they would block you regardless.
Well, fortunately, I got us out of that.
Oh,
you know,
okay,
because I got another guy in the group. You know, to get with me, and we got a lawyer.
Okay.
I got B. Scott. You know, he was the youngest in the crew. He didn't know what was going on, so I got him. And you know, fortunately, I had my parents. We went and got a lawyer. And so once I had him, because he was securing the deal in his spot.
Yeah.
So you had like 3 people that was, 3 people that wasn't. But once I got him, I had leverage to slow up all deals with Atlantic.
Yeah.
As far as how we were moving forward. And from there, we were able to disseminate the information to the other members and whatnot.
Man, it's always about some money and a contract that messes up a good thing, man.
Yeah, well, it's power and it's greed because you got people who want to control others. And, you know, in this case, we had a guy particularly who wanted to be the star. He just didn't have it. You know, he didn't have it, but he had all the knowledge and the plug. He was talking directly with, you know, the labels and knew he was being taught how to play the group. But the group didn't know. I just had instincts because I came from the streets. You know what I'm saying?
You know who else went through that same ordeal?
Ice Cube.
Drew Hill too. Nokio, he was the one, you know, in bed with the label and it had the production company and doing it. And yeah, man, that was I heard rumors, but I never knew too much. But I always thought that was a great group, and I thought, but you just never know what's going on behind the scenes because greed. And you know, in the music industry, it's all about divide and conquer. Yeah. And then when you got people who's not willing to go in and do their own homework or feel secure in where they at, they just want to ride. You know, we some boys from Kentucky, so we had a couple cats. Just want to ride.
Anything somebody say, they just like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And, they want somebody else to handle all the business. They just want to get the money and be an artist. Can't do that.
It's sad, but you know that's just a part of my story. Yeah. I'm just fortunate, you know what I'm saying. I end up, you know, doing a lot of other things, and like you said, you know, came out with this book, became the #1 new bestseller.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
From Grammy, so
keep elevating and motivating, yeah, for sure, man. Let's talk about the police brutality. I know you went through a little something. I've seen the pictures and all that, and I see that you're heavily into the supporting the Black Lives Matter or whatever because, you know, you've experienced something. What can you, I mean, I don't know if you want to speak about that. You can tell me yes, no.
Oh, yeah, sure. I mean.
What happened? What led up to that event?
Well, I was really in a good space. You know, again, this is something that I talk about, but I was really in a good space. I came off Wale, he was headlining the tour. I guess you'd call me like the co-headliner in Florida. Mm-hmm. And they called me back to do a show in Kentucky and whatnot. This was a little bit later after the Wale tour in Florida. And I wasn't thinking, I had been in Florida for about, I don't know, 6-7 months, I don't know. But I wasn't thinking about, okay, this small town in Kentucky, it just didn't occur to me. I'm still off a high, like things are going well.
Yeah.
It looks like I'm about to, come back and do some great things.
Yeah.
And, I go and host this show in Radcliffe, Kentucky. And it actually happens to be like one of the places that a lot of the Ku Klux Klan, quite frankly, meet. And,
wow.
you got a lot of people that's a part of the, Kentucky State Police that's involved with, racist activities.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So here I am hosting a show. I come through a roadblock, and ultimately, they were being told at this roadblock that our prophet, they were asking people where they were coming. And I gathered this after the fact. I didn't know all this was going on around me, but people were telling me, oh, we're coming from the Our Prophet show and whatnot, things of that nature in this small little Kentucky town.
Mm-hmm.
And then here I come with my partner, Sean One, whatnot. And, we end up getting pulled to the side, but man, they end up, locking my partner up, Sean One. And they end up, I was a passenger, get me out the car, and they like, so you the one that everybody's talking about. And I knew it was a problem from there. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, man.
So they end up, man, they made me strip on the side of the road. I'm talking about take off your hat. I took off my hat. Take off your jacket. Took off my jacket. Take off your shoes. Took off my shoes. Took off your pants. I took off my pants, brother. I'm on the side of the highway. And they stopped traffic a little bit before. So everybody where they stop traffic, there's no cars coming at this point.
Yeah, can't see.
So they know what they're doing. They highly coordinated. Man, they had me stripped down to my boxers and my undershirt, my diamonds. That's it. So then they told me, then they handcuffed me after I'm fully in my boxers and I'm barefoot on the concrete. And they handcuffed me, told me to turn around. Then a police officer, man, pulled out his gun, told me to comply. And I'm like, I don't understand because I'm barefoot like a slave right here on the highway.
Right.
And he says this shit like 3 different times. I'm like, sitting there barefoot in my boxers, handcuffed behind my back, and he keep telling me to comply. He ended up shooting, fell to the ground. All the records show that I was tased a total of 15 times. They actually took me to a second place. We don't know where that place is, but obviously I'm heard by the grace of God. I thought I was dead. I did give up, but at some point, I guess I lost consciousness. And
wow,
still alive. But yeah, so all records show that, I was tased 15 times. And, they fucked me over pretty good. TMZ, they got some pictures, but you'll see my feet is tore up. And that's just to let you know, you never see somebody's feet like that if they didn't have on these shoes and socks, right?
Right.
This was the time that Trayvon Martin had already been killed. Michael Brown had already been killed. A lot of young brothers had already been killed. In the state of Kentucky, I'm, considered somewhat of a big deal. I've done a lot. Mm-hmm. I'm the youngest member on the board of chairman for the Muhammad Ali Center. So anybody go to Louisville, Kentucky, check out the Muhammad Ali Center. You'll see me on the wall with, Denzel, Muhammad Ali, Will Smith, Dalai Lama, anybody you can name. Some big wigs. They celebrate me as well.
That's dope.
I say that to say that when this happened, I started doing press conferences to get word out in Kentucky and whatnot, that this happened to me. I would hold these press conferences and go home, and none of the press conferences would be held, though all the news channels would be there, film me.
They would never air it?
They wouldn't air it.
Wow.
So after about the second or third time, I realized this is something really heavy. I had been blacked out of the media in my own city, state, right? So I'm like, wow, this is crazy. And I guess it was just all because they felt like all the other brothers were getting killed and riots was going on. If people found out that our prophet had went through the same thing, only survived, and he's actually living to tell his story, there could be a lot of big problems. So they did a very good job in suffocating my story. Still, people don't know today. That's a part of my story from Grams to Grammys. And,
What?
I'm here and I'm just blessed.
So nobody was ever prosecuted, nothing. Like, just.
I went through 4 or 5 lawyers, man. They all were railroading me. I was facing 5 years.
For what?
Well, what they do in all cases, from what I've learned, when you got a police brutality case and you actually have a survivor like I am, what they pin on you is assaulting an officer, and that's where you're facing 5 years. Many people don't have the resources, though comes to find out I didn't have enough, but surely didn't have the voice that a lot of others, they didn't have. So you will succumb and just say, hey, I don't want to, take this to trial because you're scared of 5 years.
So that's what they do. So if they beat you and you survive, basically they just say you assaulted an officer.
Right. And the grand jury, pretty much, they're usually going to say, yes, we agree. Well, in my case, they put assaulting an officer and then all the rest of misdemeanor charges to justify them breaking my nose and all kind of other stuff from head to toe. You can look on YouTube, TMZ interviews Our Prophet, TMZ interviews Nappy Roots. To justify me being tased 15 times, there's only misdemeanors. Any legal people out there, y'all can check for yourself, is preposterous. But
so there was no struggle, there was no nothing.
The grand jury found no true bill that Prophet did not assault an officer. So then you have no felonies. Now you just got misdemeanors. Now you tell me what misdemeanor can justify you tasing a young man 15 times?
Right.
There isn't. So they did a pretty good job. They, but I'm here to tell my story. But yeah, it's all on record.
So just because you had a show, everybody was saying they were coming from your show, they felt some type of way. I guess they just wanted to break you down because I guess they felt like, oh, he probably thinks he's a big deal. Everybody's, man.
Well, in a sense, I can never understand a schizophrenic or maniac, why you would want to try to take my life. But I understand there is envy and, people are very envious of a young, so-called Black, successful brother.
Right.
But even just brothers and sisters that are not perhaps perceived on my level of success, this gets done to us also. With that, I can't really tell you what goes on in their mind, but they really had their whole program together on how they was going to do me. With them stripping me, they wanted to, make me feel less like a man.
Of course.
Less human. So I'm in my boxers and like, why do you strip me? Yeah. So like when Kanye West say blood diamonds, I know about blood diamonds. I mean, I was dripped in blood in my boxers and my undershirt. So, excuse me. I can't, really say though, years before, I was awarded $1 million from the state of Kentucky for a discrimination case. And this case was different. Again, the group, we highly celebrated. At this point, there had never been any rappers known to the world. Yeah. So, all I can say is, man, is authorities are they take the law in their own hand and they feel like they know how to get away with it. And I'm just blessed that I'm able to tell my story because there's a lot of I'm sure there's a lot of young Blacks that have been killed and not been able to share their story. All you had to do was look at the record of whatever they wrote up, and what they write down, it'd be all bullshit because they know the law.
Yeah,
all bullshit. You don't have to do anything but be Black, and a lot of whites don't understand that.
They really don't. They really don't. They really don't.
Like, oh, you had to do something. Oh, he had to do something. Nah, bro.
Nah.
There's really some evil people amongst you.
Yeah, I had a few. One in particular who was man. I mean, he didn't touch me, but he was really trying to provoke me to say the wrong thing. Not even act out. You know what I mean? Just say the wrong thing. He was trying to trap me. And I'm like, man, I see it.
Yeah.
I see it happening. I saw it happening. You know what I'm saying? And I just complied. Said what I need to say. Eventually, he kind of backed off of me. And yeah, let me go, man. But I see how it happens. It's easy. It can happen so easily. You don't have to do anything. All you got to do is say the wrong thing. And it don't even have to be, a threat or anything. You know what I mean? You don't have to have an attitude. You just say the wrong thing and trap you into saying the wrong thing. And then they go at you. So
you don't even have to say the wrong thing sometimes.
I know.
What George Floyd said, I can't breathe. Oh, well, hold on. Stay down here a few more seconds, a few more minutes.
Right.
But
right.
I can't breathe. You ain't got to, really be like that.
That's sad, man. God, that's sad.
Shout out to Breonna Taylor in the city of Louisville, where I'm from.
For real. Shout out for real. That was a sad situation.
Peace and blessings to your family.
How do you charge somebody for basically shooting into the other apartment, but you don't charge them for killing an innocent woman in her own home?
Well, I mean, that's why they call them authorities. They got the ability to make their own laws. They take up for each other. They have these unions, powerful unions, to where, even if there is something that may come down to where they be subject to some type of
penalty,
being held responsible. There's other back ways where they loopholes to where these guys just continue to get their checks and continue to work. But when you take people's lives, man, I just don't think that's really something that you can take lightly. These people really need to be held accountable.
Yeah, absolutely, and made an example of. Because nobody's being made an example of. So who's gonna fear doing it? There's no fear. There's no, you know what I mean? They don't fear the consequences. Because it's an ego thing. It's a prideful thing. It's an arrogance that I can do whatever I want, and it's my word against yours. And I can turn the body cam off and just say, "Oh, forgot to turn it on," and that's okay too.
Yeah. Something's got to be they got to be held accountable, but something's got to be different. But of course, it's only a certain group of us that see it a certain way, and it's like we delusional. They really don't understand the type of things that we go through on a day-to-day basis. They think we just crying over something that we making up that's not real,
right?
And that's unfortunate,
Right.
But a person,
and what kind of bothers me? Not even kind of, it bothers me that we urban Black folks, we have a different type of culture. We like to dress, in Africa we kings and we queens and we wear jewelry and we're gaudy and stuff. And we bring that to this urban culture, to pop culture. And it's all cool and fun for everybody to indulge in and enjoy it and wear the clothes and look that way. But when we're caught out there looking like me and you, hat, gold chain, we fit the description. We look the part of a thug. Why is that? You know what I mean? Like, why can't we just be who we are? We don't have to dress like you to be a civilized person. Why? Because the way that we dress, we fit the description. You see that?
Well,
it's crazy, man.
That is some truth, but at the same time, it's not about us dressed. I mean, we come out dressed and we could be naked. We Black.
Yeah, for sure.
Officers, if they want to be on that dumb shit, it's a lot of racist cops. There's a lot of Black cops that's involved with the authorities, but they don't really go in, and if they're not with the dumb stuff, they don't go in and really speak on the type of stuff that they see that's going on out in the streets. You know what I'm saying? They keeping cover for themselves because they like, well, this guy helps. He covers me every day of my life. So that's more important to him rather than, actual humankind. And he's actually seeing the way that we treat it.
And they won't stop it. They won't do anything about it.
So it's not really about a ball cap or some, a diamond chain or whatnot. We're black, man, and there are a lot of rotten people. The same rotten people that would tie us up to horses and take our limbs different ways. Those people actually raise people, and those people raise people.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
And the things that people are taught. Why is it that us blacks are hated so much? I was talking to someone just recently. They were just like, there's so many races that just hate black people. Just different groups of people that look at us like we some messed up people. Yeah. And it's so unfortunate knowing that we actually birthed all this. And, our minds have been changed and turned around. We got, and we have to be accountable because we actually killing ourselves. We see all the unfortunate, misguided things to where we just turn so many things on ourselves, where we fighting ourselves. We losing a lot of, not, gang members, but rap members. And,
yeah,
it's just like all across the board, we all do got to take, responsibility because really at the bottom end, we losing, man. We losing a lot of good brothers and sisters, and we're not unified to the fact that that we can actually make a real run for change. We talk about it, and we in it for about 2, 3, 4 months. You know what I'm saying? With me, I actually live this stuff. I got some people that, well, make a song like this. I'm like, man, that's a trend. You want me to be this really? I almost got my life taken for real.
Yeah.
It's been other brothers that I know that's been beat, almost, it's like, this ain't no trend, so everybody want to go make a rap about it. I'm like, I make my music organically, still make awesome music. Of course, I'm quite biased, but, I make music for real. I don't make no music just because this was going on.
Yeah.
And some people really can't feel that because that's not really near and dear to their heart. But I love black people. That's why I'm Prophet, man. I help. I give people my arm if I could. You know what I'm saying? But I've learned that you really can't do that because a lot of people will forget what you've done. Absolutely. And I just got to be better at taking more assertiveness about taking care of myself. So I don't know. We just got multiple issues that these are things that I talk about. In the book, I talk about how my bodyguard, he committed suicide. So I talk about suicide in the Grammys book. It's a multitude of things that I talk about, mental illness, the games that people play in the industry, like accountants and managers and, your A&Rs and the person that they pick in the group to, use the other group members for their, and they don't understand, like they're turning that guy just totally, but it must be in him because they seen that in him. And, man, I talk about so many different, man, that shit deep, man. Y'all got to get that book, man.
I'm going to check it out. I'm going to check it out for real. I got to read that. Yeah, I want to dive into that, man. That's deep.
Please do.
Wow. That's well, I appreciate you sharing your story, man, and being so transparent and open about it. You know what I mean? Like I didn't want to touch on anything you didn't want to talk about, but yeah, you took it there. I appreciate you being transparent, and that's what this show's all about. You know what I mean? Yeah. Well, I appreciate you, man. I'm just, I'm just me, man. Just try to put it out there, man. Hopefully, some people can learn from it. Understand, some people been in similar situations. Understand you're not the only one. Be blessed, and we can do some other things that can help us in the long run, and not perhaps just be selfish, but let's put some things out there like you're doing. Put some good energy out there, and hopefully we can link up on a positive tip. Yeah, absolutely. So before we go though, what you got new work you working on? I know you got the Jesse James song.
Yeah, well, I'm starting a whole company. It's a music, film, and publishing company, as well as a clothing company.
Okay.
And we're finalizing that, I think, within the next month. That's what I'm excited about. I think we really won't have the actual layout until the first of the year, January.
Mhm.
Of course, everything's been quiet. We're just now coming back from Corona. They talking about the second wave or whatnot. So I would just say, for anybody who's looking out, my way and like to see some of the things I do, just follow me, on my social networks, the Our Profit Official. Of course, you got the link. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Instagram, Our Profit Official, RPROPHET Official. So we got music, we got clothing, we got films, and we got books. So I hope with me becoming one of the new bestsellers for Amazon, it was such a blessing. It's going to open up some other avenues for me to, publish some other young authors, or just authors in general. If you got some material, and actually produce films, music, going to be signing artists. I got a couple good things that's all occurred because of, I don't know, I guess I'm just blessed.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. And I'm an actor, so any opportunities you have, I ain't asking for no handouts. You got auditions, let me know. Hit me up on the gram, DM me, say, hey, I got this audition for this film we working on. You know what I'm saying? I got an agent and all that, so, I ain't just talking.
Okay. Where you based out of?
I'm in Atlanta.
Oh, okay. So we cool. Okay, we'll be too. So we just got to stay in contact on social network, whatever.
Okay.
All good.
Yeah, for sure. Just let me know.
All right.
Yeah, for sure, man. So you got the project. So basically, you're about to be a machine. That's what you're about to be. You're about to be a machine and do everything under one umbrella.
That's what it appears to be. I've been in a couple situations before. Always an optimistic guy, so I just, before I let the rabbit out the hat, I just like to. It looks that way, and I feel like I deserve it. So if I'm indeed blessed with everything being finalized, I plan to kind of bless some other people.
Yeah. Amen to that, brother. Amen to that. I appreciate you coming on, man. You got any speaking engagements coming up too, man? Post that. I'll repost it. Let me know. I'll come check you out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will do. Thank you, brother.
Definitely. I got the link here. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say I started another new business too. It's called Incredible Smoke, LLC.com. So all the people that vape, we got legal THC. Legal THC is Delta 8. You know what I'm saying? But y'all just check out Incredible Smoke, LLC.com. Whatever.
I got the link in the description. The link to the book will be in the description. I don't think I have it there yet, but I'm going to put it in the description so they can just click that, check your book out. I'm going to check the book out. Yeah, man. God bless you, brother. I appreciate the time.
Too,
yeah, man. Thanks for coming on. Hey, y'all. Until next time, episode 50 is next week. 50. We halfway to a century mark. I'm going to have something special for y'all, man. Episode 50 is going down. Kickin' It with KoolKard every Tuesday night, 10 p.m. Thank Our Prophet for coming on, sharing, being transparent. Hope y'all got them gems he was dropping. I'm telling you, it's real out here. All right, y'all. Till next time. Peace.